Hey everyone, welcome on in to Drinks with Binks, our debut episode of our hour-long vodcast where we drink. We have a lot of fun, and maybe the debut, but I've been doing this for a long time, and now get paid to do it alongside some of my new brothers from another mother. We've got Alexis Guerreros and Christian Polanco, the soccer Cooligans. These guys are so cool and funny, and we all get to have shows together on Fubo, surprisingly.
Woo!
So, congratulations.
Likewise.
Yeah, no, you're right. Congratulations to us. This is a huge deal. We're really excited about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, a great way to celebrate all of us getting shows and being so awesome is with some drinks.
Yeah,
And
that the network pays for.
It's-
I mean, it's
kind of a cool loophole that we got. I'm not going to ask too many questions, but let's just enjoy it. So I asked you guys what you wanted to drink today on the episode.
Yeah.
Christian, you said rosé.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
said Louis the 15th.
Yeah.
So bring it out.
I guess, I mean, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We should be going for the Cristal. Let's get some,
Yes.
like, some fine vintage wine. And
Either that or the blood of a virgin.
oh, we'll
Right
get there. Right now. We're only like a minute into this episode.
Somebody cut Christian. Am I right?
Pretty simple request.
Okay, well, let's get
Meow.
things going.
I've ruined the show.
Okay, so Christian, I got you a little rosé.
Thank you so much.
I'm just gonna, sorry.
All right, that's perfect.
Christian
heavy
clearly
pour.
in touch with his feminine side here.
Hey,
All right.
rosé is for everybody.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Just as this baby bourbon is
Right.
for you.
Hudson Valley baby bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon made from only the finest babies.
What makes it a baby bourbon as opposed to regular bourbon?
That you have to put it in a diaper to drink it.
Yeah. Or you wear a diaper to drink it, as the amount we're gonna drink is gonna.
We all know I'm going to be
elicit-
wearing a diaper by the time I'm 65,
Yeah.
right?
And then I am going. Cause I'm surprisingly, I'm not the most basic one here. You've got the rosé, but I've got the prosecco.
Okay.
All right. I swear I've done this before.
She's like, I drink all the time. How do you open this thing?
No, I got this. But yeah, I thought it would be appropriate for my drink.
A little bubbly.
A little bubbly, a little.
Open it.
like,
A little bubbly. Take out your eye, Alexis. Just ruin the Cooligans forever. Otherwise, Alexis is wearing a Pirates eye cover.
Pirates eye cover.
I
Yeah,
forgot the name of it.
that's what it's called.
What's it called? Eye patch.
I know all our bosses right now are just like, just don't aim it towards that
Well, we got bosses?
$10,000 screen.
Yeah.
I got
dare
this.
you to take some
guys.
of it out. Hey, wepa!
Pros Pro, hello.
Amazing.
Hello. I have a show that has
Yeah.
drinks in the title. I've done this before.
Thank God your name isn't Krugs. This would have been a really rough show. Julie Stewart-Krugs.
I mean, I wish. Who knows? Maybe I'll marry someone and add that on.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So, yeah, let's cheers to all of us.
Cheers to
Salud.
us. We
Cheers.
did it.
Cheers.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Drink it up, baby. Also, for everyone watching out there, if you don't drink alcohol, that's good for you. That's good. You're gonna live a lot longer than all of us out here.
Baby's
so.
being really harsh. Bourbon. Woo!
Also, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to keep this show going if I'm expected to drink on it every day. Like when I get liver disease.
Yeah, but they
like,
do
is
liver
that-
replacements. You're fine.
Okay.
Is
Is that workers' comp?
This was Fubo's idea.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about
No
this.
banana sandwich. Okay. So we're all on Fubo. It's so exciting. You know, I've known you guys through Twitter, through your podcast, and you've been doing your podcast since 2015. Now you get your own show. Like, take me through, Alexis, I'll start with you, just from, you know, that beginning idea of you guys coming together to now seeing it in the bright lights.
I had the idea to do a soccer podcast or like a comedy podcast that involved soccer somehow before Christian was sort of involved. But I really didn't know like who or what. And I was like, I wanted to be two comedians. And there's other comics that knew a little bit about soccer, but they were kind of like just not good matches for me. They were either like a little too boring or a little too serious.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not for me. And Christian got season tickets to NYCFC, which so did I, just to be like a part of the game. You know what I mean? Like, let's just see what this is like. And we started making people laugh around us. And I said to him, and I had the idea for the word Cooligans already. I was like, oh, you
It's a
want to do?
great name.
See, it's like when I think about it, is like it's so bad it becomes good again. You know what I mean? It's like it's such a terrible name, but you're like, oh, okay, kind of cool. You know, it's like Dad Hatch. You're like, ill, but you're like, yo, that is actually kind of dope. You know what I mean?
It is cool though.
Okay.
It's a great play on Hooligans.
I think when I first heard it, I was like, oh, another one of Alexis's dumb puns.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But you kind of like within, I would say like 2 minutes, you were like, it's actually not that bad.
You know, usually coming up with the name of the thing is like almost the toughest part. But when he mentioned that, I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun enough. It clearly states that we do not take ourselves too seriously.
Right.
And
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't think it's just fine. I'm jealous of it. Like,
Okay.
I like it.
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, we thought of that, and then I think the first thing we did was a Man on the Street video.
Yeah, we made videos. So the way he had the idea. He had invited me to NYCFC that inaugural season just so we can. I used to go to soccer games, some MLS games all the time, and I figured, all right, yeah, I haven't gone consistently, and this will be a kind of a cool thing to like be a part of something from the beginning. But when he had asked me to do that, I was already working on like live sketch stuff, and I love and I was like. The head writer of the show called Metro Section, which was at the Pit in New York, right? Which is like an
Which is
improv.
a hole. It's a hole.
Yeah, it's just this whole
It's really cool. It's just yeah.
It's an improv theater, the People's Improv Theater.
Want
But
to do a show in this pit? Yeah. it looks good.
while I was doing that, I was like in this mode. I was like kind of in this weird depressed state of like where my stand-up comedy career was
Which
going.
is right when I jumped.
Where I was
Depressed, bro?
Yeah, here I
Want to
am.
work with me?
well, I was
Can't
like,
get worse.
I told myself, I'm like, I can't just rely on stand-up. I need to like do other stuff within comedy. So I was like, and I love variety shows like Daily Show and those SNL, and I wanted to be a part of something like that. So
At first, he just wanted to be like a writer and a producer, and I would be the on-camera talent. And then eventually, like I think 3 videos in, he jumped on, and that's when we were like, oh, this is good.
That's great.
yeah, and then we started doing the podcast, and it was like that was like another thing where Alexis is the ideas person, and I follow through.
Yeah, he's got execution.
Sell yourself short.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a combination of both for you guys.
Julie, it is
No, it's
not.
mostly no, it's mostly it.
Very sweet of you to say. You're giving him a lot of credit.
Yeah.
You're like this married couple, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, very much so.
Yang type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, so
It wouldn't work if we were the same.
No, of course
like,
not.
We literally need both of these personalities.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes people are like, are you guys arguing? It's like, no, this is how we speak to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So after that, we started the podcast, and it was just like that thing where I was just like, Alexis, all right, we're doing the podcast this day, and then we'll figure it out. If it doesn't last, then it doesn't last. But at least we know we have like a timeline, and we can schedule it. And then we started that I think a Tuesday that we recorded, and have not stopped since.
Yeah,
We just
every
kept going.
Wednesday for 4 years.
It's amazing just like how quick your rise has been since doing that to now having a show. And we're going to get into more of it in just a second, but I want to take us on a little bit of a trip.
Ooh.
You talked about Julie Stewart drugs, I guess.
Yeah.
We're not doing that kind of trip. I want to know where you guys won. That's next season.
Oh man.
I want to know.
Sweeps week.
I want to know where you guys want to drink today. Okay, so we're in a studio, but we can also go anywhere in the world.
Ooh.
So where do you guys want to go?
I mean, we live in New York. You know what I mean? We're like we're 2 New York guys. So let's just drink on the subway.
Let's do it. Can we
Come
do
on.
that?
You could go anywhere in the world. Let's go to the subway, baby.
There it is.
Yes. Look at that.
That's right. I wish this had a brown bag around it. This would be perfect.
Feel right at home.
Yeah. I was in the war. You know, just yell that a lot.
I mean, it's great material. You get to see a lot of different characters in New York. Get a lot of content,
Characters is true.
inspiration.
On the subway for sure.
Yeah, I would.
Characters like my dad and
Yeah.
those crazy people.
I don't have one of those, but good for him, huh?
Yeah.
You might find them on the subway.
Yeah,
Who
that's
knows?
good. How will I know it's him?
That's the thing. I was saying, you guys should be like, maybe you could try to do your show here or something. Like, you have such a great audience with your fans and who's interested in you. I feel like you could do well putting out the old hat.
Oh, and just talking about soccer on the New York subway?
Yeah.
Just busking. It's,
I'm
I
trying to
think what
think.
my mother thinks I do, actually.
I don't
She's like,
know.
nobody pays attention to you. You're yelling into camera. Nobody likes you. Get a job in a factory.
She'll be so proud of you drinking on television right now.
She's like, I
too.
told you that's what he does. I told you. The show's probably not even about drinks, any drinking.
I could listen. Well, we're going to listen to more of that in a
Sure.
second. We got to take a quick time out, but you guys are into comedy, you're into soccer. These are things I'm into as well as drinking. I'm so glad you're not sober because that wouldn't be as fun right now. But that's okay if you are.
Yeah.
We're going to have more coming up next on Drinks with Binks. Welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, joined by my esteemed colleagues now, Alexis Guerreros and Christian Polanco. I feel like I really Canadianized. It would be Christian Polanco, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not it.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
But it's nice. Like, we all come from such different backgrounds, and to kind of now all.
I'm from Regina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's where she's from.
Okay, so.
Okay, I thought you were making a joke.
I am actually from Toronto originally.
Okay.
You know, we got that one TFC championship, baby.
We were there for both. We were there for the loss and the win, yeah.
Which they should have won that first one.
Yeah.
I was there for those two.
Oh yeah.
Does the city not care? Because everyone's treating the Raptors like it's their first major
I know.
championship.
That is a real sticking point, obviously, for people in the soccer and MLS community. It was like, wait, when TFC won, it was like, wow, soccer's such a big
was
thing.
huge.
The parade was great. And then it's like, oh, wait, that was great when you won, but you're not a major sport. Raptors, yay.
It's weird because especially being in this soccer bubble, we do see the intensity. So it doesn't. Every time we go to these cities, it doesn't feel like nobody cares because we're just always around people who care.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. So.
And then I think when TFC, I forget which one it was, but I remember there were so many, like the media that was there from Toronto that's normally used to going to Leafs practice, going to Raptors. It was like, bye-bye, we're all into TFC. Like, it was really cool. And Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world.
Okay, I mean, we're in New York. Right? I mean, I'm not crazy.
The hell did you just say, Julie?
I was a tour guide.
I don't know if you know this about Toronto, but it happens to be the world's largest building, all of it. That's what you just said. How much have you been drinking before the show started?
Listen, all right. I actually have been drinking before this because we did have to drink on my other show, Call It a Night.
Okay.
So a little plug there. But,
By the way, they're not supposed to drink on that one. That's just Julie.
yeah, we just decided to. But I was a tour guide on a double-decker bus, and that
you lied
was
to
a
everybody
stat.
about how
Most multicultural city in the world, and #1 spoken language is Mandarin. So
Okay.
take that everywhere else.
But there's a lot of things like that where how do we
feel like
quantify?
I feel like maybe a city in China. I'm just gonna take a guess. A little stab there. Maybe they speak a little bit more Mandarin.
Nope, that's Toronto already. Oh, we're in that one.
The most multicultural city in the world, if you don't consider Queen.
And so you guys both grew up in New York, though?
I grew up in Newark.
Newark.
Yeah.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
yeah, so.
I mean, I consider Newark pretty much the same.
We don't. Like
Yeah.
I like to say, like I'm not from New York. Born and raised, no. I'm born and raised in Newark. It's not Jersey.
Okay.
It's Newark. I'm not from Jersey, I'm from Newark. It's different. Like I'm not from San Francisco, I'm from Alcatraz. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're different.
Okay, you guys.
We're different.
Yeah.
Yes.
get a
I mean, he
little-
has the criminal record to show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. You leave your purse on the floor and I'm supposed to. Oh, but you were wearing it? Okay. No.
But what fascinates me is you guys are both NYCFC fans. Then how was that? Because I would have thought you would have been a Red Bull fan.
We both went to Rebel games beforehand, but I lived in New York already at the time.
Yeah, and I used to go to like Metro Stars games. I was like,
too.
but I would never connected to the supporter culture of it. I was like a casual soccer fan. You know, I was like obsessed with FIFA, and I knew all the like European teams and stuff like that. But then I'd go to Metro Stars games or Red Bulls games and see, you know, Henry or Juan Pablo Angel, and like I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I would leave the stadium and like not think about it.
Right.
And then, but when NYCFC started, it was like, oh, we get to like see how it from its infancy.
Yeah.
And see, and as soon as I kind of got exposed to that supporter culture and the tifos and the sacrifice that people made, the commitment to the supporters and that part of that aspect, I'm like, this is great. And I always say, like, sometimes other like fans of other MLS teams, they're like, oh, well, I hate that these guys are NYCFC fans. But if NYCFC was never created, the Cooligans would not exist.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So, you
it's
know,
like
you got to
chicken
take
and
go with the
egg,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so but what was the moment, Alexis, for you? Like, what was your first soccer memory that kind of got you hooked into it?
there was a bar. It's the oldest bar in Newark, and a lot of my friends lived in the Ironbound. And I lived in the North Ward, and they were all Portuguese, Brazilian, Trinidadian, Jamaican. They all love soccer. I didn't as much, but we would meet at this bar because it was in between the two places. We'd go on our bikes, and they were all Irish guys, and they would all watch Manchester United, and they would all make fun of us. Every time we walked in, they would just roast us from beginning to end. And just to, like, we'd go in there and get water, we'd use the bathroom and stuff, like, they wouldn't care, but they would just roast us to no end. And they were all Manchester United fans, and at that time, they were only showing two teams on tape delay, Manchester United and Arsenal. So I was like, well, I'm gonna be a fan of that. And all my friends would, like, tell me about Arsenal, because they all knew, because they all had, like, remember, I don't know if you remember this, there used to be, like, these huge, like satellite dishes that would spin so you can get, like, the reception to watch, like, the Portuguese league and all that. And they'd play Arsenal games. And like, oh, this is an Arsenal game on the weekend. I hang out with my friends. And then we started playing FIFA. And it just slowly but surely, FIFA was a big thing because, like, now I got to use the players I saw on TV. Like, oh, that's Henry. Oh my God, that's Henry. Yeah. And I would, oh, he is fast, you know? And it just matched it together in my brain. And from that point on, I became a massive soccer fan. I'm, you know, still a Yankee fan, still a Giants fan, still a Knicks fan to the day I die. But like, just soccer bubbled up and became super important. I mean, I'm wearing the 99 2000 jersey right now.
I love that, by the way. I mean, we're going to get into more of this coming up after the break, but I also kind of have a story with Arsenal because I did my master's in England, but live right near Emirates. Oh, so like hear the matches from my dorm, and it was so dope. Yeah, I know you like that. Yeah. I don't think you're an Arsenal supporter, but we're going to get into more little dirty details and a huge secret and surprise that one of the Cooligans is going to release on the show coming up in just a few moments on Drinks with Binks. Welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. We are rocking and rolling here with Alexis Guerreros and Christian Polanco. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, and I need a little refill, by the way, of my Prosecco. Anyone else need anything? No. I'm a great host. I'm like, I'm going to dive on into this.
Okay, this might last the entire show.
I feel like this show's going to become an intervention for you by season 1.
I think this is all just like a rouse. Like, this is just, we'll see how Julie does with this. Like, is she going to take the bait and then boom, all the curtains go down?
Right.
It's actually my mom.
Your family's reading from a note.
Yeah. Set her up. See how she does.
Yeah.
I gave you a real heavy pour there, Christian.
Oh, no, this is totally all good.
Yeah. Put him out in here.
All right, so I was talking before, but like I find your fans fascinating. They're like these kind of rabid. Okay, so your show launched, and you have all these people being like, "Oh my God, I love the Cooligans!" Like, yay! And like, I just have weird dads in their basement being like, "I love." And it's like a couple weird. It's only weird guys. I'm sorry, guys. I love you. I need you. Okay, don't go anywhere. But you guys have such a cool following. Like, when did you notice that it started to become sort of like this neat thing?
I would say I mean, there's like certain people from particular like fan bases, like the Kale Parkers, the Siege, like, so these like Seattle Sounders fans started like reaching out to us and making jokes like with us or sending us like very inappropriate GIFs, you know?
Yes.
So people
like were the comment, you're like, what keyword did you use to search? Like, this should be illegal. Like, kids shouldn't be allowed to see this.
When people, like, we joked around about like our first year, we would make very, immature jokes, and we would say like, oh, I hope no women are listening to this because it's just like so stupid. And then, but it was like kind of a silly joke to make on our part because there's so many women that are involved in soccer and love the game and love our stupid jokes.
Well, we also found out, like, we had no way of finding out what our audience metrics was. We just saw the number. And then all of a sudden, it turns out there's a bunch of like really hilarious women that listen to our show.
That's so great.
And when we said that, I forgot what we said. We made a crude joke about a player who got caught, I think, cheating on their wife or something. And we said, man, I hope there's no women listening to this, joking around. All of a sudden, we started getting tweets from women saying like, we listen, we think you're hilarious, and they started responding. And then it started to snowball. Once the Seattle fans Once the
Yeah.
Sounders fans started like engaging with us, other fans would see that and they started to like reply. And they're just as funny as each other. Like they're all hilarious. You know, I mean, not as funny as us. I mean, that's
You guys have
you're
your own
not
show.
pros.
Hello.
Sometimes don't even try it. You know, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. No, they're actually hilarious. So like we started to like, it became a thing where like we could put out a tweet and like maybe add 1 or 2 jokes and they would just go off with it. And it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you ever listen to Ron Bennington, who's on the Sirius XM.
yeah.
He used to have a show called Ron and Fez where they would make like 1 or 2 puns and then the audience would call in.
Right.
And it turns out later a bunch of them were like hired comedians, but then regular people would call in and they would always give like their version of that pun and stuff. So they barely had to do any work. It was what we want to do, or certainly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. We put out a tweet and all of a sudden a bunch of hilarious people respond. We're like, great, thank you for that. I don't have to do
and
anything.
then last summer we did a tour with Total Soccer Show, the World Cup comedy tour, and while we were there, Mike Magid as well.
Like Magid was there, sure.
So while we were there, we actually got to go to these cities and meet the people who are tweeting at us, right? It was I would joke around though, like at every show, I'd be like, it's so fun to see all these Twitter accounts in person, right?
Yeah.
Like they were all in the crowd, and
It's like, oh look, there's Fairy Dust 69. You know, like it's nice to see
You
you.
must be so happy though that you acknowledge them and you recognize them and you like make them part of your family.
yeah, I mean, it's like
It was
I
innate for us.
I
I think as
hope so.
comedians, you know, we always want to involve the
response,
people. Yeah.
right?
Like the gratification is great, but I want to know who these people are because
Right.
some of them are genuinely hilarious. And I'm like, where do you come from? Like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm a lawyer for immigrants. And I was like, really? Because you sound wildly inappropriate on the internet. You know, like, it's just hilarious to see these folks that love soccer that are like us, that want to laugh about it. Because soccer fans sometimes can be a little bit hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they like to stab
Like
each other.
the
you know?
worst.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they're not the best.
especially the fact that you guys are the soccer Cooligans because like it's football, it's not soccer.
Yeah.
You don't know anything and like just no.
We deal with that from time to time. I think the first time we like sort of clapped back at it was when I had made this segment for Alexis.
Because I was angry and texting him, and he was like, save this for the show.
Yeah, so we
Great.
created a segment called Guerrerants, right? So it is.
Which fits me perfectly. Like, that's the first week my blood pressure was low.
So this was when you know that show Soccer AM, right?
Of course,
so,
yeah.
And there was an episode. Who was the player that was on? Liam Ridgewell.
Ridgewell, yeah.
Liam Ridgewell.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
played for the Portland Timbers. He was on. He's British. He was on the show, and they were mocking the playoff system
and the non-relegation.
and no
motion.
relegation. They were like, oh, so the coaches never get fired or whatever. So he was kind of just like going along with the jokes.
just laughed.
And it was like, well, there's a reason things are the way they are. Nobody's saying it's perfect, but he wasn't even like being. He was
You
just
really
like,
stand up.
yeah. He's like, you.
Not that you have to, but like jokes.
Explain it.
Go to them. Go at them. They have faults.
Yeah, and-
So we did it, or
Yeah.
I did it. I looked at the camera, and for 20 minutes I just ranted. I called their game garbage in the 90s. I'm wearing one of those shirts. Like I just shit on them as much as I could in that 20 minutes, and it went kind of viral.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, this is a nice thing to see, like that American soccer doesn't have to just constantly be mocked, and nobody can just like defend themselves." Like,
Yeah, there's no more inferiority complex. Like, we're here now. You know, and that's the way I look at it. It's like, yeah, you have your culture, dude. We're 20 years old as a league. Let us build our culture. You know what I mean? You're 100 years old.
we're not even old enough to drink yet.
Right? Here we
Look at
go.
this, look at what we're doing.
You can't even rent the
Well,
car.
guys, we can do this in Canada, okay?
Yeah, it's
So
true. What do you
let's
guys
just
drink at
pretend.
12 up there? What is it?
Pretty much, like with
Yeah.
your baby, right? They do that in France, I guess, too. So we're pretty international.
Right.
But I mean, like with you guys, I find it fascinating when you have all these people that will telling you what to do, and you have tweeting at you ideas. How much does it infiltrate your content and like how you present yourselves and what you do?
I don't know. I guess it depends. I say we always just like lean towards what's funny, not necessarily like what's the best subject to talk about. So if something strikes us and it's fun to talk about and it can like
Yeah.
lead to this rabbit hole of like silliness, we'll go in that direction.
We also take things just a little bit too far. Not in a bad way, but like we'll make a joke and then we'll build a world around it. And that's something for our fans to sort of grab onto. And they'll keep that going online after we've, exhausted it on the podcast.
So cool that like you've created this whole world. I mean,
It's not what we
people-
planned, but I'm glad we're
Yeah,
here.
but-
I'm so happy. We were worried when we started. We're like, does anybody care about soccer and comedy at the same time? We were not sure. We did not have this like master plan. I had plans of grandeur, but I had no idea that this would be like a thing. We had no idea people would want to come out to see us live.
Yeah, but soccer fans are so interesting, and there isn't this. You guys are the only ones doing this in soccer. Like you're the only ones doing comedy in soccer.
Don't tell that to Men in Blazers fans.
I mean, like, in America specifically.
We like to say
right?
we're like Men in Blazers, but entertaining.
That's a slogan.
You know, a different brand. You guys feel like a little
Yeah,
bit
we're not
more...
condescending. Go ahead, you can say it. Get it out, Joe.
There's no
Look,
Blazers, okay?
At the very
for
least,
sure
Easily
not.
talk to you.
we're like we always said, like we're not gonna get comedy fans to start liking soccer. But
Right.
soccer fans enjoy a ton of different things, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be addressed or spoken to. There shouldn't be a thing. There shouldn't be that, like, the lack of an opportunity of a thing where, like, I watch the games on the weekend and then I can laugh about what happened, throughout the week.
Yeah, how's that rosé doing for you there while you try to explain that?
I can actually feel a pulse in my back. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is...
Think about getting words out while I'm on my second glass. But we're going to take a quick time out. I really want to talk with you guys, though, about the comedy side of stuff, because you guys come into this from comedy background. I come into this from a broadcast background, and we're both kind of doing the same thing, or at least right now we're drinking. So we'll be back in a second. I'm going to make you guys do shots. Maybe. I just decided that right now. So stay tuned. It's going to get wild. All right, guys, welcome on back to Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, not drinks. I had to think about that one for a second. That means this alcohol is working. We've got Alexis Guerreros, we got Christian Polanco, we got the soccer Cooligans, and we were just talking about lots of fun soccer stuff. I just got to ask you, okay, so I want to talk about U.S. soccer, I want to talk about MLS, but the interesting thing is the comedy side between... I'm not going to put myself in that category. You guys are like legit comedians. When did you guys first get that like comedy itch that you're like, I got to get up in front of people and basically ruin my life?
Yeah, that second part, 100% happened.
Yeah.
I've wanted to be a comic since I was a kid. I remember, this is a true story. I wanted to be a comedian. I would tell everyone I wanted to be a comedian. I was at one of my mother's work parties when I was like maybe 13 years old. And one of her coworkers was like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, come to say comedian. And I'm not kidding. She covered my mouth and finished the word. She goes, pewter science.
No.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to disappoint this woman forever. And I knew, I'm like, I'm not computer science. I'm not a nerd. No offense. I know that's what you did. But like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, no, 100% what he did. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? I knew in that moment, she's covering my mouth and I'm looking at them like, that's not true. You know, and I just knew, I was like, I want to be a comedian. But when I got accepted to Tisch and Stern at NYU for business and for filmmaking. And my mother was like, they don't give you any money. Can you afford it? I can't. I was like, no. So I ended up going to a different school. And I was like, I'm going to try to go be a filmmaker. I knew I wanted to be like in that side. And she was like, do you want to leave Newark ever? And I was like, yeah. She's like, just go to school for business. You can do whatever you want when you get out if you make your own money. And that was like a sign like, okay, maybe I can't go into comedy right now. I need to find a way to make money and get out of this situation. And once I did, I got laid off. My wife, like, I tried to do a consulting gig, and they took some of the money out of my severance. And my wife was like, "Dude, you're for the first time since you're 11, you're getting paid not to work. Go do something you've always wanted to do." I did an open mic the next day, and I never looked back. Wow. And that was it. She has looked back many times.
Yeah, she's like, why did I ever say that to you?
Every time she looks at the bank, she's like, you sure you don't want to go back? Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't hear you. I got to go do jokes about my penis, you know? Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, there's 3 people waiting for it.
I wasn't as certain when I was a kid, but I was obsessed with, like, stand-up at a pretty young age. I think around the time, I was obsessed with, like, late-night TV. Conan was, like, one of these people he was, like, the first person that kind of inspired me to be self-deprecating. I'm like, oh, there's a person that's making fun of themselves, and I think it was very like helpful for me in school and in high school and stuff like that. But I was obsessed with George Carlin, Mitch Hedberg,
Mitch,
you know, Dimitri Martin, like a lot of like one-linery comics who definitely like language was a part of like their craft and their art. But I think the first moment that I sort of got that bug was it must have been my, I think, sophomore year of high school. I was in math class, and I remember my math teacher was telling a story just about like when she was a kid and like things that she was afraid of. And she was telling a story about being like a toddler and being stuck in a closet. And then she couldn't get out, and she was like absolutely terrified. And in the middle of her story, I raised my hand and I said, I was like, Miss Silverberg, how long did it take for you to come out of the closet? And the room erupted. Everybody laughed, and I was like, it was like this powerful feeling of like I made this entire room of like 30 kids laugh, and even the teacher was laughing. And after that, I was like, I think I might try this like in the future. It took
felt kind of good.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do this during chemistry. So we get different classes.
Same material.
He's like, so I got expelled, decided to do stand up.
But yeah, that's what happened for me.
I love that because I feel like it's fascinating when you sort of feel your personality is driven in that way. Like I'll tell you about myself right here.
Do it.
Is that so? When I went to an all-girls school growing up, and I was like the school captain in the final year, and I remember
Hold on, what's a school captain?
It's like kind of like Harry Potter, where it's like you're the head prefect or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know how I got it, but pretty much rigged the whole thing.
I
Got it, yeah. So I would have to go up on stage and read announcements, and say like, oh, these people are coming up. And every time I'd go up, I'd be like, oh, I gotta have like a bit, like I gotta have like a joke. And I remember I threw one of my teachers under the bus once because I used to spray tan a lot, which that hasn't changed. I still do that.
I'm just picturing you as a cast member of Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't wash it off.
Yeah.
I get it and I go to school and like keep it on anyway. Whatever. So I remember I went up one day and I was like, hey, and listen, guys, in front of like 800 young girls, I'm like, listen, guys, I know I had a spray tan. You don't have to remind me I'm orange. If you want to have a UV-free tan, just ask me or Miss Pinsler.
Yeah.
Because she tanned too. And it was like, oh, it landed so well.
Pinsler, roasted.
Yeah.
I got in
Pinsler,
so much trouble. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and I remember that. And I was like, I liked kind of being a bit bad in a way.
Yeah.
And then
I got in a lot of trouble. That was like my whole thing.
well, yeah, you're like, because you're saying stuff that people find funny, but it's not necessarily.
I like
what
to
they
say things that people are thinking and they know they shouldn't say. I like to say it. Like I'll say a story and you could bleep part of this out for the people behind the camera if you
want.
want.
Hey, we're drinking. Whatever.
I started comedy like a year after getting married, right? So like my wife married a slightly overweight executive and now she's married to a fat comic. But she always like took notes. And like this is when I convinced her that she's always known me as being funny, but this is when she was like, all right, this is what you need to do. You don't belong in any other part of society. She used to do like lists and she would always she would do stuff like write list and check it off. Like she was proud to check some stuff off in the beginning. I'm like, you're putting stuff that's already happened. Like that's not how lists work. You know, I'd always get mad at her. So we went away for our first anniversary and she left a list out. So I thought it would be funny to add stuff. So she put like 4 things and I added 2 or 3. And she gets out of the shower and she looks at her to-do list and she looked at me with like such sadness and she's like, why did you write that? And I'm laughing. I go, what does it say? I don't know what you're talking about. And she goes, it's the last object here is wash my mother's Now, hold on. Here's why it's funny. Imagine living in a world where you had to remind you. First of all, you have to do it, but you also keep forgetting to do it. And I just kept explaining. Imagine you have to do this. Like, what's the situation in which you have to? And second of all, imagine that you keep forgetting you have to do it. Oh yeah, I better write this down on the list. And she's like, you're not built for the rest of society.
Oh,
she's like, the only place for you is the stage.
And you're like, perfect.
And,
I know
and
my
clearly,
future.
our working relationship never has any problems.
Yeah.
He never says the wrong thing ever.
And your
Guys,
jokes are
tweet
like
at
that,
me
too.
if you want to know what was bleeped.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And on that note, we're going to take a little break here on Drinks with Binks. But as you can see already, things are getting a little spicy, so let's keep going. All right, we are back on Drinks with Binks, and we are getting drunk. At least I am. I'm just gonna, Prosecco's real easy to drink, so we're celebrating. This whole week should be a celebration. Again, I'm a real bad. Oh. Saved by the bell. Okay.
Saved by the Binks.
Yeah. Thanks. My dad is kind of sad that like his last name doesn't have any kind of fun. So my dad's last name's Stewart. My mom's last name's Binks.
Got it.
They
And
put
your
them
name is
together
a
when I
law
was
firm.
born. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone thinks I'm married or divorced.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
get it.
oh, so when did you and your husband move to town? It's like, no. Or
You're like the blondest Latina in the world because they
Yeah.
don't have like the hyphenated name.
or people think I come from like a broken home.
Yeah.
Like.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
after meeting you.
Well, I do, I guess. That also happened.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, top ups in a way. I can see, I know after you told that story, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
I realized that story that we just heard. I'm not sure if it got edited out or not.
Yeah, you might not have heard it. It was really cool.
I know. I looked at your glass because I was like, oh.
That's good. Yeah.
Well,
I should probably relax.
thank you. You know what? This show's going to be great because whoever we do end up getting on, we have a lot of interesting people booked. I think once they see the debut episode, may be concerned about how this. We have Adam Schefter booked, so yeah, we'll get
potential
all
sponsors could be, I don't know, dialysis for cirrhosis livers.
Yeah. Yes, we've got the rehab intervention, but honestly, the alcohol. We've got all the most random alcohol brands.
Remember
here.
when Mickey Mantle drank through his second liver? Did you guys remember that?
I don't recall.
I don't.
I wasn't alive.
They did a liver. You were. I was a kid, but I remember being on the news. He got his liver replaced, and then he drank through that one too. It's a real OG. He would have been a great guest on this show.
Another chance.
Yeah.
Wow. He did a George Best.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you think I can't beat this one?
Sorry, Julie.
No, I love
Okay,
it. Do you want any more rosé?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd love a little bit more.
You can't really be like, yeah, I'm not into that, you know. Only the best. I should actually probably start like my own.
Like liquor company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Sure, you're a rapper.
This is
Just
my.
do it. Yeah, trash the place, dude. Do it. Who needs a network?
Everyone behind that glass there is like, okay,
Yeah.
we tried it. We're not gonna air this one ever. I gotta ask you guys questions though with like the comedy side. What, like I want to get more into it. I tried it last year when I was off of work and like you was sort of on like a paid leave of absence that I never went back to. And it was so fun because it was like, okay, I can go to open mics. I went to open mics every single night, you get such a great high, crippling anxiety, but followed by like amazing high.
It's that up and down that feels great. It's like you go so low and then you go so high and then you come back down. You want to do it again.
And then it's like drugs, really. Like you want to go again. And Robin Williams, when I read his book, he's like, he could not stop doing it. Like,
right.
Okay.
Probably not the model to follow.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going with. What happened?
I think there's a chapter missing in that book.
4 or 5 times in a night that he would want to go kind of like get that. I haven't done it in a little while because I've been working a lot of jobs. Like everyone's like, we want Julie to work. And so I haven't been able to get up on stage. What kind of advice would you guys give me for comedy?
Well, first, I had actually offered. I do a weekly show in Brooklyn, and the invitation.
I wasn't sure who it was because it was like the Cooligans Twitter account.
That's right. Yeah. So, but we both have shows, but I do a weekly show in Park Slope in Brooklyn called Knockin' Boots Comedy, which is at a Two Boots Pizza, and it's a really fun show. And it's like
you think which one of us runs the show at a pizza shop? You would assume it's me.
And it's really chill. So, again, the invitation's always.
But it's very informal in the sense that you can go up, and if you haven't gone up in a while, that's fine.
Yeah, it's super
okay.
Audience is always like really supportive.
There's no way around just doing the work. You just have to get up on stage.
I know you
It's
do.
reps in a gym. It really is.
Yeah.
Like for me, I look at it as there was a period of time where I was doing just open mics, and then I started getting booked a little bit. This is like maybe 2 years in. I started getting booked like maybe 3 times a week, and I was like, oh, I made it, you know. And I was on the train with another comic who hopped on, and he'd been on TV like 4 times. Like I'd started with him, and now he's all of a sudden bubbled up. And he was like, hey man, how often are you on stage? I'm like, oh, I don't even need to do open mics anymore. I'm doing 3 shows a week. And he goes, well, my goal is to do 10 shows a week. Wow. So if I only have like 6 book shows, I'll do 4 open mics. And he walked off the train. I was like, yeah, that's what I should be doing. Because he's on TV and I'm not. You know, I'm sitting here like not doing anything 4 nights a week. So I should do that. If I don't have anything booked, I go on stage. It's a thing where you have to get obsessed with it. Like that's why comedians don't get along with the rest of the world, and that's why the rest of the world don't understand comedians, is because you just only do comedy. Like, you have to become addicted to it. You have to become obsessed with it. And that's the only advice is, like he said, there's just no shortcut in the world. You gotta get up on stage. Some people will bubble faster than others, but there's just no shortcut for getting on stage.
Well, yeah, you have to keep doing it. And like Todd Fritz, who works with the Dan Patrick Show, he was doing comedy. We talked a lot about it, and he didn't want to do open mics. Like he's like, I just want to do the shows, and it's like, well, you don't know if the jokes land or like your timing.
Yeah, that's like a chef who doesn't want to get burned. It's like,
buddy,
like
I'm just gonna try it, or like trying to win the Olympics like without practicing or whatnot.
And of course, we all want to do the shows, right? I mean,
you get the highs.
Yeah,
I
you want to
miss
do
it.
the fun stuff.
I mean, it was really nice to get work again and like not be paying $5 for a Coca-Cola to get up on an open mic.
And also real
little better than
reactions, you know, like it's great. I would say like comedy to me is the only time where I feel most comfortable. You know what I mean? Like people are like afraid to get on stage. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'd rather be up there than talking to anybody else.
Okay. Well, it's also different. We're gonna take a quick break, but like we're in a studio now. I'm used to studios where I don't have any response at all. And so when I started doing stand-up like you and you heard people laugh when you were in school, it was like, whoa, like, oh, I made all these people laugh over something stupid. Like
Instant
that's
gratification, baby.
addictive. All right, well, we're gonna laugh about some soccer when we get back on Drinks with Binks. All right, guys, welcome on back. Drinks with Binks. We are still here. We're still drinking. We're having a lot of fun. I feel like I could talk to you guys forever.
Well, let's do it. Let's just do a 9-hour episode.
Yeah. Just this drinking marathon, which I think that hopefully, you know, we're going to be friends outside of this.
We won't. That's not happening.
Oh, okay. I didn't put it out there, but we'll see.
Wow, Julie really put herself out there and was shut down.
Vulnerable? No, thank you.
Just
Oh, you meant with you? Oh, no.
Just invite people on the show to be my friend. I'm like, so now that we've done this, like,
Can we please hang out?
friends, right? Like, we're hanging out. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you guys that I'd love to know your answers. That's what the point of a question is. And so let me take a sip of this before I continue. Okay, so first of all, Christian, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
What? Anything in the world, what's something that's incredibly underrated?
Something that's incredibly underrated. Just
You better say me. I mean,
anything in the world.
Like, what's something you like or someone that you're like, man, they deserve more respect?
You know what? Because they just got a new album out. Tool. Tool has a new album. Huge fans.
I love Tool too.
I love Tool. They don't really get mainstream kind of publicity or whatever. They have fans that are absolutely diehard, like me, like us.
Yeah.
But they're not everybody. That underrated to me because I think more people.
New album. I'm not sure if I'm into a new Tool album.
Fear Inoculum.
is it because it's not 1997?
Yeah, that's why.
It is
I'm not
banging. You gotta listen to it. So
I think this jersey is the only thing interested in that Tool album.
Well, Alex, what about you? What's something underrated?
Underrated or overrated? We're going underrated right now?
we know words, right?
Well, I think it's questionable.
What is this? You have somebody's hair on your face.
Uh-oh, get it off before the wife. I think it's fuzz from the pillow because it was on the jersey before.
Oh, that's
No, look.
hello.
Yeah, someone definitely is. I'm cheating on you with someone who wants to nuzzle on my stuff. I found one chubby chaser and I gave her a ring. I'm not gonna two. Something that's underrated. Ooh, good question. I think black coffee. People like to, oh, if you drink black coffee, you're a maniac. Maybe some of us are on strict diets from our cardiologist.
Oh, it's great.
Okay? I don't want to drink it either. Sure, it tastes like you're drinking, I don't know, water mixed with old tires. Fine. But maybe some of us have
underrated then. That sounds like you
It
have
actually
a
still
real
gives you caffeine,
issue.
so who
I
cares?
love it. It gets you going real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to be up. Okay, so what's the next one? What's an occupational hazard of your profession most people wouldn't realize, Christian?
Actual violence. I've done a show where I got slapped after the show. Someone actually slapped me because they didn't like a joke I said. And I mean,
That's the last time you invited your mother to Never again.
Pretty much, yes.
What was the joke?
It's a dumb joke, right? And but it's not like offensive. So the joke was about bra sizes, right? About how
I'm gonna slap you.
well, that people get obsessed, like men tend to get obsessed over like cup size, and I was kind of going on like the number in the bra size is kind of more significant because it says more about a woman, right? So basically the joke is like, oh, you know, if it's a 32, it's just like a small woman, but if it's like a 38, you could bench press me. That's it, because the woman's back is larger. It's a silly joke. It got a couple laughs.
Yeah.
Not I wouldn't call it offensive enough to slap someone over. Let's be serious. But I was doing a show.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not slap-worthy, but
Not even
maybe
close.
It's not
it's like
funny.
it's like, hey, maybe I didn't like that joke or whatever. It was like 8 years ago I told that joke, but I got slapped for it. So violence is one of the things that could happen when you're a stand-up comedian.
Alexis.
Yeah, that's never happened to me. I'm very respectful towards women on stage. Very different.
Yes.
Very different.
Yeah, did you watch the other segment earlier?
I don't even see bra sizes. You know what I mean? I'm a very, very progressive person. I'm embarrassed I do a show with you now.
Wow, didn't know that.
I think for me, one of the hazards is like, you know, things, and this is for what just recently happened, people could take something you say later on out of context.
Right.
And it's so difficult when you're in the middle of a joke and you have a preface and you've said it and then you add these things to it. If someone just takes one of those things and later on it's like, oh, that was messed up. You're like, no, listen to the rest of the joke. And it never works in that moment. It's like someone saying, oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke. And I'm like, no, buy a ticket. Because if I tell you a joke then, we're not set up in there's not a space for jokes. We're, in the middle of a Chipotle. You know what I mean? You're like, this is the place or the time.
That's the thing that, like, a lot of people come up to you and be like, oh, tell me a joke. Greg Berhalter, when I did MLS playoffs last year, he's like, I see you're doing this comedy thing. Tell me a joke. And I was like, whoa, this is weird right now.
You were like, you just read his starting 11.
That was a great joke.
If I could make him laugh.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I was on the spot. He was like, I only give you an interview if you tell me a joke. So, but that's weird because then I'm like, okay, well, here we go. He laughed, so I interviewed him, which was.
It sounds like a great audience member, Greg.
Yeah.
Berhalter.
He's just like, ha.
Yeah.
All right, I love you, Greg Berhalter. You're probably watching this, actually.
What's up, Triple G?
Okay, guys, 3 idols from your childhood, Christian.
Ooh, 3 from my childhood. Definitely George Carlin. From my childhood, Sarah Silverman. I was obsessed with her comedy. And my brother, my older brother.
Oh, that's nice.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
They're great.
I didn't expect it to take that turn.
Yeah, Alexis.
I said there's a booze talking.
Yeah.
Let's see, my three idols from my childhood. I don't really. Myself is one of them. I'm not even making that up.
Really impressed.
Yeah. This guy, his name was Dickie. He was the mafia guy who ran my neighborhood. I'm also not making that up. He helped raise me a little bit like my father. It was great. It was like a father figure to me. He taught me some things that later on you find out is a bit problematic. But at the time, helped me survive. And this kid, Flavio, that I grew up with, who, sage for his age, made a ton of mistakes, but I learned from those.
Oh, it's like real people.
Yeah.
Mine were like Donovan Bailey and Kurt Browning. Those are Canadian athletes.
What are they, curlers?
What
the hell? We don't understand your
faces
weird
were
ice
like-
sports.
Donovan Bailey is a sprinter. Hello.
Oh, what could you possibly learn from him?
How to win.
How to get away from things.
Yeah, he stretched a lot.
How to escape your problems.
You know who else did that? Dickie, all right? He was a mafia member.
Yeah,
He got out of a lot of
someone
sticky situations.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, we're not going anywhere. We still have more to come on Drinks with Binks. Let's go. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching Drinks with Binks. We are not going anywhere just yet. You guys are such big soccer guys. I need to know MLS Cup predictions. Who's in MLS Cup?
I said San Jose Earthquakes is going to win the whole thing, and it's looking like a dumb prediction, but I'm sticking to it because if there's anything I do is stick to dumb decisions, shouts to comedy.
I think there's a strong chance we'll see LAFC and NYCFC and MLS Cup final.
A little homer action.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
LAFC is winning it all, but against Philadelphia Union. Let's cheers. Bless more of where this came from because
Cheers.
we're going to keep drinking until we're canceled, and then we're going to drink outside of the studio.
Ooh.
Thank you guys for watching us. We're going to be back 8 p.m. the next Friday. Have a great weekend.
This has been Stinks with Binks.